Hi, this is Kai, and this is another Transformer comparison. And I don't know if you guys can tell, but over here I have Transformers War for Cybertron Seige Ultra Magnus, and on the other side I have War for Cybertron Kingdom Ultra Magnus. And this Ultra Magnus was from the spoiler pack on that they released for Siege, and they released one for Earthrise and Kingdom. And this one is the recent Kingdom Ultra Magnus. And I saw that I had two of them, so why not do a comparison video like I did with the Siege Optimus and the Kingdom Optimus? Or was it Earthrise Optimus? I think it was Earthrise Optimus. Either way, I did a comparison on Optimus Prime. So let's get a closer look into these figures. Okay, so actually I lied. I wanted to look at the weapons that the Kingdom Magnus had, and because I really do like these weapons. I like the metallic look of the gun with the red, and of course the white and red bits. It really just matches his whole aesthetic and everything. And I don't think Siege Ultra Magnus came with any weapons. Maybe he did. I think he did, but I think they were a little bit different than these ones. I think, well, yeah, they were a little different than these ones. They were, can't really remember. If I find them, I'll put them in this video. If I don't find them, obviously I won't show them. But now, let's get into the figures themselves. Okay, so the first thing to note is obviously the difference in detailing. Obviously, this Ultra Magnus is way more detailed than this Ultra Magnus. And that's mainly because of the Cybertronian look of this Ultra Magnus and the more Earth look of this Ultra Magnus. Also, the color difference. There is actually quite a few color differences than I realized when I first thought of doing this video. First off, of course, not pile drivers, I almost call them pile drivers, they're not pile drivers, but his shoulder pads up here, obviously, this one's gray, and this one's white, and has blue, and they're a bit of a different shape as well. And even their helms, even though they're closely to the same size, are a bit of a different shape. This one's a little bit bigger, like chunkier this way than this one. And of course, their little horns here are a different color as well. And their eyes are actually a bit of a different, it's a bit different as well. This one looks like he's, maybe if I, yeah, good. This one looks like he's more wearing aviator glasses than this guy. I don't know, I think I prefer this face better. It kind of reminds me more of Gene 1 Ultra Magnus. And of course, their chest plates are also very different because this one looks more like an Earth truck, and this one looks more Cybertronian-esque. Even their waists are very much different as well. And of course, even their hands, if I am to see if I can. There. Oh, my camera dropped. Even their hands are a bit different, such as this one has some silver shading on it, while this one does not, and it's pure white. Also, their thighs are obviously pretty different as well. This one has some silver shading on it, while this one does not. And also, they have the same problem with their legs, where like the hips, like they're not wiggly this way, but they're just really wiggly this way. But anyways, of course, actually we can lower this now a little bit. There we go. And obviously their legs are very different as well. This one has some silver shading on it, and this one's just a pure white. Of course, if you keep looking here, we got some more differences at the thighs here. And I think, yeah, we'll get into that with the vehicle mode. Yeah, this one looks more like, I don't know how to put it, but it looks less, that'll be in more vehicle mode. Let's look at their backs here. Of course, don't know how to mention this, but their butts are different. Their butts are different. This one has a nice smooth butt, while this one has a little bit more of a bumpy butt. Their butts are wiggly too. Why wouldn't they jiggle? Imagine Ultra Magnus just sitting there, just clenching, just like, what's that noise? Oh, it's Ultra Magnus again. And also another thing that I realized here is the fact that this one has a, oh shoot, what's it called? line piping. Well, it's where the, let's go up. There we go. Line piping, where these eyes look like they're glowing because of the little transparency right here. Of course, if you get him in the light just right, his eyes do look glow up, and this one does not have that. Also, of course, the top parts of their chest are different colors as well. Also, the thing I noticed is that this guy's red is a little bit lighter than this guy. He has a little bit of a darker maroon, and this guy's it's more of a lighter maroon as well. And that's really all the differences I can see in their robot mode. But according to everything else, you know, they move quite the same, have little to no, well, they have movement that way, they just can't, and they have completely switched it there. Of course, he's doing the splits now because his legs are they actually do have a pretty nice spread, though. Why would, it's like Ultra Magnus just like, yes, we must spread. Why are they that flexible, though? Anyways, but they have pretty much the same mobilities, they just have different colorings. So let's get into their vehicle modes and see what is different there. Okay, so while I was transforming them, I completely forgot to look at, what would you call it? I call it their Minimus Mode, even though I know it's technically not Minimus. But, spoiler alert, if you guys don't know, in IDW, Ultra Magnus is Minimus, but when Minimus is in the Magnus armor, he is Ultra Magnus. If that makes sense. So I call it their Minimus mode, even though technically it's not Minimus. But anyway, whatever. Let's look at the differences that they have here. And again, there is actually quite a bit, mostly in the chest area right here. Of course, as you can see, a bit more detail in this guy, a bit less detail in this guy. And of course, the shading differences as well. But also, there's a bit of a difference in their face, such as the little mohawk they have right here on the front. This one's blue, that one's silver, this one has the Autobot symbol, that one doesn't have the Autobot symbol. And there's a little bit of differences. Obviously, the waist is different here. This one's gray, this one's white. And of course, if you look at their backs, it's a little bit different as well. Obviously, blue, white, yada yada, Autobot symbol, not Autobot symbol. Anyways, and they pretty much the same other than that. Their detailing are the same other than coloring. And yeah. Now, let's get into their truck mode. Okay, so obviously they're in their trucks modes, but they do not have their trailer and the rest of the armor on them. I did this because I wanted to see if there's any sort of differences with the truck mode itself, like, you know, bare bone, nothing else, and the truck mode when it has its armor. But anyways, just to make this video more chunky. But first of all, the obvious one right here, we have a bit more slimmer here, and obviously this one's a bit more boxy, mimicking Optimus Prime's look. What was he? What type of truck is he? I'm not going to remember it now, but I will remember later. I will, and I know I will, and that's going to bother me that I'm not going to remember it right now. Obviously, their transformation, it's exactly the same. And, of course, you know, color differences. But, you know, the thing that I notice is that their wheels are different. And if you look at their... Is the wheels green? No, it's just the... It's like a... No, it's just like a... Oh, they have like a slight... His wheels have like a slight hint of green in them. Like, they're not a pure black. It's just like they have a slight bit of green. I didn't notice that at first. But of course, their wheels are very different from one another. And, you know, obviously more Cybertronian-esque, more Earth-esque. There you go again. You got the same thing on the back here. For the most part, yeah. Okay. Same thing, so, let's put the armor on them. So here they are, all transformed. And I do gotta say, there is a lot of differences in the way they transform. First of all, the trailer, like if you see right here, this part of the trailer goes over and connects to the head, where this one does not. I think what they should have done, and maybe it's just the way I transformed them, but I think I did it right. Instructions are simple. I should have done it right. If I didn't, well. I mainly like this trailer better just because it hides the hands. For this one, you have a huge gap here, and it obviously does not hide the hands that well. And of course, we got the differences that I said when we had the basic bones of the truck. There's that. There's also some differences at the top of the trailers as well. If you look at there, look up there, there's some shading differences. Let's look at the back here, obviously. The back has the same issue I have with this one. It just looks too much like legs. Does not look like a trailer, and I don't like the fact that, it's just kind of all hobbled together. I feel like they could have done Ultra Magnus better, even though I do really like these Ultra Magnuses. They are very neat to look at, and of course, you got differences in the trailers back here. There's a bit more holes on this one than in this one. And, yeah, I really think that is it when it comes to the truck mode. There's not really too much differences as there is in the robots modes themselves. So I'm thinking that if I were to say which one is, my camera just dropped, which one is better, I'd have to say the Kingdom Ultra Magnus is much better in robot mode. But I think War for Cybertron Seige Ultra Magnus is a lot better in vehicle mode when it comes to that. I like the colors a lot better on Kingdom Ultra Magnus. I like the shape of the truck in Kingdom Ultra Magnus, but I also like the shape of the truck here. But I think that Seige Ultra Magnus is much stronger in the vehicle category than in robot category. I think Ultra Magnus from Kingdom has a much better robot mode than vehicle mode. And I'd say that he has the same rating I would give this Ultra Magnus right here, which would be around, I would give it about a 5.5, which seems harsh. But it's mainly due to the vehicle mode in this one, where you can see the hands and all that stuff, and it's kind of just not a very strong Ultra Magnus, but a pretty good Ultra Magnus when it comes down to it. So I guess that is all.